Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michaela McShane, and I'll be your host for the NASA Startup Feature Series webinar. It's 1 after 2, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we get started properly, I'd like to introduce Christy Funk, the T2X Program Manager, to give you a quick overview of the NASA T2X program. Christy?
Thank you, Michaela. It's my privilege to welcome you all to our first Startup NASA Feature Series presentation. The monthly series provides an opportunity for NASA technology-derived startup companies to share their stories, including how they got involved with NASA and where they currently are in the development of their new product or service. So NASA's Tech Transfer Program ensures that innovations developed for exploration and discovery are broadly available to the public, and thereby we can maximize the benefit to the nation. And the T2X program augments that mission to include a focus on entrepreneurial innovation and creating partnerships to help accelerate commercialization. And this also includes our Tech Transfer University program, where we work in collaboration with academic institutions to provide hands-on, real-world experiences for professors and students. And we invite you all to visit the NASA Tech Transfer website for more information on available licensing opportunities and other initiatives. And also stay tuned for registration information for our next Startup NASA Feature Series. And that will be a presentation from Smart Tire on May 19th. So thank you again for joining us today. It looks like we have quite a crowd, and we are looking forward to hearing from ecoSPEARS, and hope everyone enjoys the presentation. Back to you, Michaela.
Thanks, Christy. Our featured company today is ecoSPEARS. ecoSPEARS is an environmental technology company ushering in the carbonless future of environmental cleanup. Their technology eliminates toxins like PCBs, dioxins, and other persistent organic pollutants from the environment, utilizing non-thermal and non-combusting remediation technology developed by NASA. Through NASA's Technology Transfer University program, the SPEARS technology was introduced to the Rollins College Entrepreneurial Scholar Distinction Program, engaging Rollins MBA students in researching NASA technologies as part of their studies. Prior to establishing ecoSPEARS, Sergi Albino mentored 2 Krumer ESD students working on the NASA SPEARS technology. Recognizing the global impact of this breakthrough technology in environmental cleanup, Sergi worked with NASA's Tech Transfer Program to license the technology and founded ecoSPEARS to continue advancing this technology for worldwide environmental applications. ecoSPEARS co-founders Ian Dormal and Sergi Albino will be our presenters today. Before we get started, I'd like to point out that your microphones will be muted throughout this presentation, so if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and we will answer them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ian and Serge to get started with their presentation. I think you guys might be muted.
Give us a second. Can you hear us okay now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for having us here. We're excited to be presenting ecoSPEARS and our journey as a startup we founded this company about 3.5 years ago. We'll kick it off. Ian will be leading us over here.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Michaela. So my name is Ian Dormal, Serge Albino. So ecoSPEARS, we build innovation that cleans the world, and as Serge mentioned, we do have our namesake technology, SPEARS, came from NASA Kennedy Space Center, so the relationship with NASA is very, very important to us. So what do we do? Very high level, we build clean technology systems that can extract and destroy toxic chemicals like PCBs and dioxins from our water, from our soil, and from our sediment using non-thermal and non-combustion processes. Everything we do is purpose-driven. We want to create a world where everyone has access to clean water, clean food, and clean air. And it's really this last 3.5 years, it's sort of in the entrepreneurial world, it's like 21 years in dog years. So it's been a short but fast period that we've really been focused on this mission. So in terms of a lot of words here, but just high level, it's really been focused on 3 T's: building our team the last 3.5 years, securing defensible technology, as well as building additional IP around those NASA patents, and building traction. So no company can really thrive without contracts and without revenue. So we're really happy that we've secured over almost $1 million of contracts. And we have this growing pipeline. And really it's about attacking a market that's large and a market that needs new solutions. So when we look at environmental remediation, we're focusing on those PCB and dioxin contaminants that are so pervasive, so persistent around the world. And it's just a growing market. And at this point of our company life cycle, we've built partnerships to scale. Certainly, we work with environmental consultants and implementation partners. And in our company right now, we are raising a Series A round really to expand growth, build tech, and garner more projects.
And why we're excited about the environmental remediation market also, because in a sense of innovation, it's one where we can actually really truly disrupt by bringing in high-tech NASA innovation that was literally meant more for sometimes different applications, sometimes space applications. In this case that we have now is more, it's focused in line with the environmental, but we're able to pivot technologies from other industries into this particular market that's just so in need of innovation and disruption. So we're excited to be a part of it, and we're still like those 2-year-old kids always asking, why is this sky blue in this sector? So,
yeah, what's interesting about Serge and I, we're really transparent. So, we always like to help entrepreneurs, and anyone that ever has questions, please feel free to email us after. But for us, again, it's about a mission. It's about aligning ourselves to solving greater problems. And we are part of the PCB Elimination Network group, a group formed by United Nations. It's really focusing on the sustainable development goals and how we can impact the world and humanity. So for us, it's about improving good health and well-being for our planet and for people. And we do that in a way by removing toxins from water to create clean water and really focusing on life below water. So we look at the pathways for PCBs and other toxins. It's through fish and animals. So we want to remove those toxins so they don't infect the animals. And doing so in such a way that doesn't produce CO2 and GHG emissions, because we have to really create better solutions, but it can't be at the detriment of our air.
yeah, and the same mission of going after that BHAG, right? That big, hairy, audacious goal of solving real-world missions or real-world issues, key issues. It's one that also led us into conversations with our mentors, as well as that became our lead investors into our seed round. Kirinaga Partners share the same mission of solving real-world issues. And it was those real-world issues of solving toxins in our environment that basically led them to partner with us and venture with us and grow this company right here from Central Florida. So the evolution of ecoSPEARS really started way before 3.5 years ago, since the inception of the company. I actually worked as a NASA subcontractor under the Life Sciences Services Group between 2007 and 2012. And during that last few years of my time there at NASA, I actually went to school at Rollins College and focused a lot on the operations and technology management. And I attended one of the courses, which was global sustainability, and really learned the world's sustainability and ESGs and climate change. And what resounded really in me is that we've kind of lived this lifestyle as NASA payload developers for years to come, because nothing that we send to space doesn't have sustainability in mind. If it's just a one purpose-driven type technology, it's technically not that sustainable. So when I left NASA Kennedy Space Center to venture out on my own and explore this realm of entrepreneurship, I decided to go back to Rollins College, the Crummer Graduate School of Business, and see where I could pay it forward. Maybe some portion of my expertise in engineering or in the space industry would help others out there that's going through their MBA program. And little did I know that summer, Rollins College and NASA actually planned on working together on building out this Rollins Scholar Distinction Program within the MBA program. And I got a chance to meet Dr. Pete McAllendon, and I became a mentor throughout that program, and actually was part of the first team that licensed a technology from Kennedy Space Center under the company name Gentura, using nonlinear positioning sensors for different types of applications. And in our 3rd or 4th year of that program, the SPEARS technology came into our list of technologies that we were looking into of partnering with a group of students, and hopefully we could create that Silicon Valley, not that Orlando effect, right? And when I recognized the names of the co-discoverers of the SPEARS technology, Dr. Jackie Quinn, the lady there in the top left, renowned NASA scientist and environmental engineer, and Dr. Phil Maloney, who's now with ecoSPEARS. I work with these two folks as part of Jackie's program on the Resolve Lunar Rover program. And, you know, to be honest with everybody, I just kind of wanted to grab lunch and a beer with these guys once again. You know, it's been a long time. And when I learned more about what the SPEARS could do, that's when it really, you know, got my attention, and we selected it as one of the technologies for Rollins. And a year later, we ended up licensing the technology, and finally licensed the technology, gained an exclusive license through NASA for the SPEARS, as well as another NASA technology as well that we licensed non-exclusively. And to date, we've been growing this company several times fold since the inception, and we are now deploying SPEARS as far as Guam and in the Pacific, and as far as Sweden in the Atlantic. So we're really excited to take this homegrown technology from right here from our backyard in Central Florida to impact the waters and the environment across the world.
Yeah, a little background on Serge and I. You know, we've known each other for 10 years. So we're co-founders along with Dr. Phil Maloney, co-inventor of the technologies. Really tough to grow any business, especially a venture-backed business, without you know, minds and other people to partner up with. So it's really been, this last 3.5 years, really been a journey that's been purposeful. And with any entrepreneurship journey, you always have to start with the problem. So what major problem are we solving? Well, in 1929, PCBs, or polychlorinated biphenyls, were created into industry, sold across the world. So every industrialized nation used this heat-resistant chemical magic really property. Unfortunately, it got into our waterways, got up in sediment layers, and also our groundwater. And because it was widespread use across industry, that 94% of the streams and rivers sampled by EPA have PCBs as well as other disease-causing toxins. So it's the most widespread contaminant in the world. And what we're starting to see is this PCB and dioxin remediation work is growing. Because once it gets into the environment, it works to stay there for a very long time. It doesn't degrade naturally in the environment. So there's really a call to action for more cleanups. You're seeing some of the names from Portland Harbor all the way to New York to Hudson River. And it's only continuing to grow. And a lot of that reason is a lack of cost-effective and environmentally friendly solutions in the past.
Yeah, and because of the lack of that innovation to solve, you know, the problem once it gets into the environment, sometimes it is cheaper to litigate than it is to remediate. So until we can truly disrupt this market and design more performance-based programs for them, so the upfront cost would not be so much, but you're using true 21st century technology in getting it down to the science and removing these contaminants without having to destroy the environment in the process or destroy the air in the process because you have to truck it away. I think there's something to be said there when you're using technology for innovation.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. You know, you have a great technology that does the job, but if it's not scalable and it's not cost effective, you're not going to replace the incumbent. And for our market specifically, we're looking at environmental remediation. So it is a large growing market. $123 billion of cleanup spends is being used annually. For us in the US, $18 billion is being spent across the contaminants of concern. Our focus as a company, our niche, laser-like focus is on PCB and dioxin remediation. Really PCBs, because PCBs have been around for a very long time, but there's already super funds allocated to the cleanup of PCBs. So it is a growing market.
And it is a trigger really for cleanup, right? A site could be co-contaminated with heavy metals and PCBs. Typically, the cleanup action, the cleanup order is going to be focused around the PCBs first and foremost. So that's the reason why we focus and hone in on this as our beachhead market. And the moment we basically build the traction with the client, they're the ones that come to us, or their consulting groups come to us and say, hey, what else do you guys have? If you can treat PCBs and sediments, can you also treat it in groundwater? Can you also treat heavy metals? Can you also treat it in soil? And the list goes on.
I want you to notice this is in the billions, right? But when you go to this next slide, when you look at the U.S. environmental liabilities, it expands into the trillions. So there's this major gap And we see it as a lack of innovation in the industry and as to why we haven't been solving more of these contaminated sites or cleaning them. So across industries, it's a growing market, and there's got to be a better way to solve it. Currently, I'll take you through a project here. There's a typical large size project. It happens every day. But imagine 400,000 tons of contaminated soil or sediment or bulk waste. It would take 20,000 trucks as well as barges if they had to go across continent to transport all those natural resources. And unfortunately, it's being taken to either a landfill or an incinerator. Not only does that generate a ton of GHG emissions, actually upwards of 600,000 plus for a 400,000 ton project, but it's cost prohibitive. So this specific example, it costs $250 million. And that's a major reason why projects aren't being cleaned today.
Yeah, and some are really in this, if you just want to focus on the numbers, 400,000 tons, 20,000 trucks, 600,000 tons of GHGs now being created because of the transport and incineration, $250 million. I think we can do better.
And we can. So, of course, with the NASA help and our brilliant team at ecoSPEARS, this is what we call the ecoSPEARS difference. So just very high level. It's taking 20,000 dump trucks that would have got to incinerator or landfill, and basically with our technology, concentrating just the toxins, and we can get it down to just a few single barrels. And then we use technologies to eliminate those toxins once and for all in those barrels. So you're able to really replenish, regenerate the natural resources of that soil for potential beneficial reuse.
Yeah, until today, you know, the EPA approved destruction of PCBs is still via incineration. Incineration is bad because it takes a lot of energy to use. There's a potential byproduct of dioxins being created. And one, you know, nobody wants it in their backyard, right? Hawaii forbids the use of incineration at all in the islands out there. So this is really a process of volume waste minimization by moving and concentrating the contaminants into our solvent. And once into our solvent, we can then properly destroy it via our UV cube system. So when it comes down to technologies, I mentioned incineration is the only means right now. But one of the things that we're looking at now, and we're working with US EPA to have approved, is the approval of our UV cube system to be the sustainable technology to destroy PCBs without incineration or without thermal combustion. That same UV cube is also used for our water treatment system or stormwater or wastewater treatment system as a pump and treat mechanism. We're actually delivering a 50 GPM, gallon per minute system over to our client in the Spokane River Valley next month for the large pilot scale program. Since our small pilot scale worked tremendously well. It showed 95% destruction through and through. And then when you have contaminants in other media, like in soil, in upland conditions, we have our ADS soil washing process. Very similar to the conventional soil washing process out there. But the difference is that after we've removed the fines using conventional soil washing system, we then treat those fines where the high concentration of PCBs are at with solvent that we can then process through our UV cube and destroy. Because we are able to do that, we're able to now regenerate and reuse our solvent for more soil washing. Very similar to how SpaceX regenerated their solid rocket boosters, so that the cost of access to space would be more cost effective. The water that we use for the first part of the conventional soil washing system also, or treatment, we're also able to treat within the UV cube. And the main thing is basically, once we destroy these liabilities, these environmental liabilities or contaminants, it's gone from our client's balance sheet forever. And that's something that holds down their stock price or share price. And of course, we wouldn't be here today with our namesake technology, which is SPEARS, which is an in situ sediment remediation technology. It's green spikes that we're so known for, that we press into the sediment layer in strategic areas, mostly high concentrated areas, so really low areas where the SPEARS can be there for a very long time, and allow the PCBs and other chlorinated contaminations to be absorbed into the spikes and finally into our alcohol on the inside. Once hitting our remediation action levels, we can then remove the SPEARS and regenerate the alcohol on the inside, destroying the contamination, and reuse those plastic mats and spikes for more cleanup within that area. And it's a good example of this. We actually just deployed our pilot programs to sites in partnership with Unified Port of San Diego. Good shout out to those guys. Those guys are so forward thinking. We're about to launch this also for U.S. Coast Guard in Guam, as well as in Sweden with Swedish Geotechnical Institute. We also have a site coming up in D.C. With an undisclosed client for now, but it's going to be within the Anacostia River area.
And I would add in SPEARS really the brilliance of Dr. Jackie Quinn and Dr. Phil Maloney, and also NASA for inventing technology that uses science, passive diffusion, to absorb those toxins like a sponge. And it's really a non-invasive and low-maintenance way to absorb those toxins, just the toxins, and remove it from the river or the waterway. When you look at what's being done as in terms of alternative, right now we only really have dredging for activated carbon, but with the dredging, you're really stirring that muck and really displacing, the animals and really destroying that natural habitat. So we're really excited about SPEARS for sediment because it protects the environment while also absorbing those toxins.
Yeah. So generating the traction that matters, as Ian said earlier, it would just be a hobby if we weren't trying to get to profitability, right? So what we've focused most on as a startup, you really have to define your beachhead market. And a lot of these clients, they're great. They're amazing folks. They know that contamination has gotten there at some way or shape or fashion due to legacy usage when PCBs were okay to use. But since then, they are actually active in trying to remove these contaminants from the environment so that the environment and the communities around their areas, their sites, are much safer and cleaner. So we initially focused on commercial and utility clients because, one, they wanted to take action. They wanted to be the superheroes of their community and using true innovation instead of just building a better shovel or a hotter incinerator, right? So, and then we started also placing bets also in longer term clients also within states and the federal government. And that's how we were able to unlock Port of San Diego as well as U.S. Coast Guard. And then, of course, in the international front, while we see international as more of a shiny object these days, we were able to secure some soft funding also in partnership with Umeå University and working with Swedish Geotechnical Institute to leverage SPEARS to pilot study within the Stockholm coastline to remove dioxins this time from their sediment. And we wouldn't be here today, of course, without our joint venture partners or implementation partners like Black & Veatch and Element Environmental. Because, you may ask, how does a startup in a team of 12 to 15 do this across the world? Well, we do it because we have those amazing army of folks from Black & Veatch and Element Environmental behind our back that believe in us, but also that are there for us for the implementation on the scale-up aspect on full scale. So they're really more than just our channel partners, they're our joint venture partners to grow this technology and these solutions out into the world, where if we were to do it ourselves, we would just be really, really slowed down. So this is our leadership team, myself on the left, Ian in the middle, and Dr. Phil Maloney on the right. We have, part of, I think, our strategy into this industry is, I mentioned earlier, we're like those 2-year-old kids always asking, why is the sky blue in this industry? And we're not the smartest guys in the room, but we're smart enough to know that and to ask all the questions, knowing that we're very humble of how we ask. And we're eager to learn about how it's been done in the past, what have been the gaps, what gaps have they found, and what could innovation truly do for them, and building a platform and a model and a business model moving forward from there. And we look to grow this team as we grow into our Series A race, as Ian mentioned earlier, and look to build more technology jobs, clean tech jobs, and climate tech jobs here in Central Florida, and in key areas of the U.S. also, where we're going to be establishing our second and third sets of HQs. So excited. So
this is, a roadmap of where we were, and what's into the future. So, at ecoSPEARS, we really try to be, visionary and really reverse engineer the future we're trying to create. And in order to solve greater environmental contamination issues, our future and our end goal in terms of ecoSPEARS is building these green treatment and recycling facilities, being able to regenerate natural resources, whether it's sediment or soil, and clean these toxins and destroy them once and for all, not only off the liabilities off of our clients' balance sheets, but so they don't harm communities any longer. So as Serge said, we were founded in 2017. Kiranaga Partners, a great lead investor, really impact-driven. Central Florida, they're making waves in Central Florida. Actually, have invested how many millions now in multiple companies. But it was really that finding that right lead investor, and one of our board members, Terry Berlin, great mentor for us. And really that key of finding the right backer and really working with NASA to secure our license was really how we got off the ground. We raised $2.2 million seed round, and then we found product market fit by just talking to clients, seeing what issues that they were facing, and building tech around that could solve the problems in a scalable fashion. So fast forwarding to 2021, we are entering our Series A raise, raising $5 million, as well as capturing projects across the world now. And really excited about the future. As Serge said, it's about, we love Central Florida because there's so much talent, there's so much IP, and we continue to look to grow our team in terms of engineering and science, as well as business development here in Central Florida.
Yeah, and what's unique also about our business model, that even as a clean tech and climate tech company, we have access now to project financing, right? So it's not just about venture capital raise and getting to these project funded programs where the revenue streams could be very lumpy. We're able to build performance-based programs across the different sectors, whether it's sediment, water, or terra, and build those project financing vehicles, because there's also a lot of investors out there that are just looking to be in the project financing side of it. And we're really trying to build that vehicle where it's much more turnkey for our clients to buy into, instead of having to find a $5 million CapEx to spend when they could basically just do financing models and performance-based models for us. And like Ian said, we're pretty excited about growing these systems. Right now, we're focused on small pilot, modular and scalable system. But eventually, doing on-site remediation, it's gonna, we're gonna run into some sites that is gonna surpass the capabilities of these mobile modular systems, where we're gonna have to build green treatment and recycling facilities in partnerships with landfills and state organizations in key regions of the U.S. We're thinking Hawaii and maybe Northern California or Portland area, as well as somewhere in the East Coast. Because, these might be really, really big, hairy, audacious goals. Well, so is going to Mars, right? But we kind of prefer this blue planet that we live in here. So if we're going to have to dream big, we're going to dream big for this blue planet, and we're going to try to clean it up instead of trying to ditch it. So some of our, I hate even to call them investors. I mean, because they're really, really partners. They have been great mentors, partners, just friends, confidants. Kiranaga, Dave and Terry Scalzo, the Black and Beach teams, Northwestern University, Port of San Diego, 4 Good Ventures. Kim there is just amazing. Catapult Ocean in Norway. EIA Social Enterprise, that's our homegrown venture funds here in Central Florida. Exelon is there also, as well as Central Florida Tech Fund. It's just been such a great whirlwind of 3.5 years, and we would not be here today without these folks. So thank you, everybody, for that. So, and where we've been, just based on accelerators and awards, spoiler alert, we're actually in a hotel room in Fort Myers. We just got in here because we're about to accept an Edison Award for our UV Cube technology. We accepted one last year. For the SPEARS technology, and we learned that we are in the final running for a UV Cube, so they invite us here to Fort Myers to be part of this Edison Awards celebration and gala, and that's where we'll be later on this evening. So.
Yeah, we did win gold last year for SPEARS, so for us, it's been a role in the last 3.5 years. You build a company, you have to get your name out there, and there's no better form of marketing than the free marketing, and having other names speak of the work you're doing. So super excited with all our partners and what we've done so far. So to kind of wrap up this presentation, just overall, I mean, look at environmental and clean tech. It came in here in the early 2000s. There was a sort of bust. but you're starting to see a resurgence now, and really people putting their money where their mouth is. Not only people, but also organizations and also the capital markets. So there's no better time really for clean tech. I'm making a pitch for clean tech now and why you should look at NASA's portfolio. But that potential for us specifically, looking at non-thermal remediation technologies, it's a massive game, and the game is happening now. Especially climate tech, that game is also happening now. For us specifically, we're in a prime position, not only with all our partners and investors, but we just see overall people just want to see the planet be better. We want better opportunities, more equitable opportunities for everyone across the world, and that starts with human health and the environment. And of course, you build a company, you have to find defensible IP. You have to continue to mine technology and build technology to protect it, and have a proven business model. Can't understate that more than anything. And for us, what does the future look like? It's dealing with PCBs today, but there's a slew of other contaminants, including active pharmaceutical ingredients, PFAS and PFOA, which we have something in the back pocket for that we will continue to look at and try to help with those contaminants as well.
All from Central Florida, right? So we want to be known more for just rockets, Disneys, and oranges down here. We want to be also known for that company that actually cleaned up the world. They cleaned up their backyard, all right here from Central Florida. So thank you, everybody. I think that's where we are, Michaela.
Yeah, thank you, Michaela, and we'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Hope we did okay.
You guys did great. Thank you both for that presentation.